Hello, welcome to Wednesday's Granada Report.
Hello, thanks for joining us tonight on the programme this evening.
The Lucy Letby inquiry. A consultant tells how it felt when hospital managers were reluctant to believe senior doctors that anything was going wrong.
I've likened it to, and I will probably get slated for saying this, likened it to being in some kind of abusive relationship. You know, I was working on the naive assumption that the people who run the hospital would all be pulling in the same direction.
The wrong side of the law. The shock from Greater Manchester Police as one of its officers is jailed for sex offences against children.
It's quite bizarre. I mean, I sat down and Brian Mosley, God rest his soul, came up to me to say, "You can't sit there, that's Julie Goodyear's chair." And I said, "Where does it say that?"
Coronation Street memories and so much more from one of its many larger-than-life characters, Charlie Lawson, as he launches a new book about his life.
Access all areas. The scheme to get children with disabilities playing football and making friends.
It was a cold night last night, but what do we have in store for the rest of this week? I'll have all the weather details later on in the programme.
First, a doctor has told the public inquiry into the crimes of Lucy Letby that it felt like consultants and executives at the Countess of Chester Hospital were in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, Dr Ravi Jayaram says he felt the concerns of senior doctors around Letby weren't taken seriously. He said the managers who ran the hospital were reluctant to consider the concerns being raised about her could be true.
The Thirlwall inquiry is looking into how Letby was able to murder 7 premature babies and try to kill another 7 between 2015 and 2016. Our reporter Emma Sweeney is in our newsroom. Emma, what did Dr Jayaram mean by an abusive relationship?
Well, he says that consultants were trying to raise concerns, but management didn't want to listen. Dr. Jairam, who's known for his TV work, told the hearing that it was in October of 2015, after the death of a little girl only known as Baby I, when he first became aware that Lucy Letby could be causing inadvertent or even deliberate harm to infants. He recalled chats with fellow consultants on hospital corridors where he said they were still finding it difficult to think the unthinkable. But by the time Lucy Letby had attempted to murder baby Kay in February of 2016, Dr. Jairam said fears that she was causing deliberate harm had become an elephant in the room, which was becoming bigger and bigger. Now, an external thematic review which was carried out around this time also noted that Letby had been on duty at or just prior to 9 out of 10 deaths on the unit the year before. And Dr. Jairam said, "I naively assumed that the nursing director and the medical director would look at that, see the pattern and act." But it wasn't until June of 2016 when things finally came to a head and Letby was removed from the unit once and for all. A number of meetings then took place, but Dr. Jairam said there was a reluctance from those running the hospital to consider what the consultants were suggesting, that Lucy Letby might be causing deliberate harm.
I've likened it to, and I will probably get slated for saying this, likened it to being in some kind of abusive relationship. You know, I was working on the naive assumption that the people who run the hospital would all be pulling in the same direction in terms of patient care and patient safety. And of course, what I'm hearing is that it just didn't seem quite right, but I have no reason not to trust these people.
And Emma, there was another meeting that took place in January 2017. Tell us about that.
That's right, Mike. Following Letby's removal from the unit, there was a case note review and a service review. Now, by the end of January 2017, so 6 months after Letby had been removed from the unit, the consultant still hadn't seen what was in them. So Dr. Ravi Jayaram called for this meeting, and they were told in the meeting by Ian Harvey, the medical director at the time, that there was a number of issues that needed addressing around leadership, escalation, nursing staff, but there was no single unifying factor and there was no evidence of foul play, but rather it was Lucy Letby who had been treated badly by the consultants.
How she would have good grounds to report us to the GMC for some of our behaviours, how he'd had to have extensive discussions with her and her family to apologise for her behaviour. And it was strange, because he was almost suggesting that he was somehow our protector, because if it hadn't been for him, we'd have been reported to the GMC.
The inquiry will continue at Liverpool Town Hall tomorrow.
OK, Emma in the newsroom, thank you.
Well, next tonight, and as an officer from Greater Manchester Police, Dean Dempster was supposed to uphold one of the force's key objectives: to keep people safe.
Tonight, though, in stark contrast, he's starting a jail sentence for sexual offences against children.
Yeah, Dempster appeared before the Crown Court in Liverpool today. Our reporter Jennifer Buck is there now. And Jen, tell us what happened in court today.
Well, Dean Dempster was sentenced to 9 years in prison here today for the sexual assault of a young girl in her own home. Now, this incident happened when the police responded to reports of a disturbance. Now, when sentencing Dempster today, the judge said your crimes betrayed the public, your colleagues, and worst of all, those vulnerable young children that you were pretending to protect. He said that that child should have been reassured to see that police officer enter her house, but that he betrayed that trust. Now, he was also sentenced today for making indecent images of children, and those crimes date back to 2 years before the arrest for the assault, and also 2 counts of misconduct in public office. And we also heard in court today about how the people of Oldham, where Dempster was based, had reacted to this case, how they'd often stopped trusting the police. Now, Detective Chief Constable Terry Woods spoke of the anger felt by the victims' families, but also by the force itself.
There's no sentence that's going to be long enough or severe enough, I'm sure, for the family, the friend and the victim, and indeed many of my staff as well. However, Dean Dempster's not a police officer. He's a convicted paedophile, and he deserves to be sat in a prison cell, which is exactly what the judge has done today. We are all completely shocked. We're very angry. He does not represent the thousands and thousands of officers who day in, day out, go out to protect children.
And Jen, this sacking of Dean Dempster is part of a campaign by Greater Manchester Police to get rid of its problem officers, isn't it?
That's right. This so-called root and boot policy really came into force when the new Chief Constable was appointed to Greater Manchester Police in 2021. Now, if you remember, that was at the same time when the Metropolitan Police were under extreme scrutiny because one of their officers, Wayne Cousins, had been convicted of killing Sarah Everard. Now, since that time in 2021, more than 100 Greater Manchester Police officers have been sacked. Yet last year alone, 36 officers lost their jobs for reasons including discriminatory behaviour and sexual misconduct. Now, Chief Constable Stephen Watson said the force is using this accelerated misconduct hearings to root out and boot out those officers who are unfit to serve, but did say that the case of Dean Dempster is the worst that he has seen, as he breached the trust of an innocent child and the assault took place while he was on duty.
OK, Jennifer, thank you.
Next this evening, and the 18-year-old accused of killing 3 children in a knife attack at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class has appeared in court.
Yeah, Axel Rudder-Cubana of Banks in Lancashire is charged with the murders of 7-year-old Elsie Dot Stankham, BB King, who was 6, and 9-year-old Alice Da Silva Aguirre. They died following the stabbings at the Hearts base in Southport in July.
Our reporter Anna Yosef was at court.
Axel Rudder-Cubana covered his face and remained silent as he appeared via video link today at Liverpool Crown Court. He wasn't asked to enter pleas to any of the 16 charges he faces. The 18-year-old, who's currently at HMP Belmarsh, sat with a prison officer behind him and covered his face with his grey sweatshirt. He didn't speak when the judge asked him twice to confirm his identity. The hearing was watched by around 20 family members of the victims, alongside yoga instructor Leanne Lucas, who was stabbed in the attack. The defendants charged with 3 counts of murder, 10 of attempted murder and possession of a knife. Last month, he was also charged with producing a biological toxin, namely ricin, and possession of information likely to be useful to a person committing or preparing to commit an act of terrorism. 7-year-old Elsie Dot Stankham and 6-year-old BB King were killed in the attack on July the 29th, while 9-year-old Alice de Silva Aguirre died from her injuries in hospital afterwards. The attempted murder charges relate to 8 children who can't be named for legal reasons, Miss Lucas and businessman John Hayes. The judge told the court the defendant had chosen not to say anything and ordered a further hearing in December. A trial date was set for the 20th of January and is expected to last 4 to 6 weeks.
Anna Yosef reporting there. Next, and a man who served more than 35 years in prison for the murder of Wirral woman Diane Sindall has had his conviction referred to the Court of Appeal. Diane Sindall was killed in August 1986 after she left work in Bebington, and Peter Sullivan was convicted of her murder the following year. Now the Criminal Cases Review Commission says Sullivan's conviction has been referred to the Court of Appeal on the basis of DNA evidence. Samples taken at the time of the murder were re-examined, and a DNA profile that did not match Sullivan was found.
The father of Ellie Edwards, who was shot dead outside a pub in Wallasey on Christmas Eve 2 years ago, says he's appalled that the man who destroyed evidence for the killer could be released early from prison. Thomas Waring was sentenced to 9 years for hiding the gun and burning the getaway car. He could now be released after serving just 2 years and 9 months. Ellie's dad says it makes a mockery of the justice system.
When I received the letter, I was obviously shocked, and I was very angry. But he's been basically put in the same category as a shoplifter. So what kind of message are we sending? There's no deterrent. And if you're going to be released early, to me, it looks like it's a reward for being a criminal.
Next, to a £1 million funding boost for Alder Hey Children's Hospital in Liverpool.
Yeah, the cash from the National Institute for Health and Care Research will help the hospital improve the delivery of research and help turn its new MRI scanner into one of the most state-of-the-art in the country.
Earlier I spoke to Dan Hawcutt, Director of Research at Alder Hey, and he told me how the money will be spent.
It's divided into 3 sections, which means that we can do a number of different things. The first is that it will upgrade our MRI scanner so that it will be a truly state-of-the-art machine, and that means that we can do cutting-edge research into a whole range of conditions that need pictures. The second thing is it will equip an ophthalmology research centre in our trust, which means that research into problems with eyes or research that just needs your eyes looking at as part of it can all be helped. And the third thing is it's going to buy some equipment that will go into our research bus, which we've just received, that will mean we can take research beyond the walls of the hospital.
And this will clearly make a huge difference for patients in Merseyside, but important to say children all over the North West and I'm guessing even beyond.
Potentially, yes. I mean, there's all sorts of barriers to research being delivered for children, but one of them is there enough infrastructure, stuff, to actually deliver the research? And if we have an MRI scanner that can do bits of research, why can't children from other areas of the North West or even beyond join studies that have the scan here but maybe help deliver the research close to their homes? There's all sorts of ways in which this could help, and we're really excited about it.
Now, this money is on top of £3.2 million worth of funding last year for that state-of-the-art MRI scanner that you mentioned. That is now in use. What kind of a difference is that making?
So the £3.2 million has bought us a fantastic state-of-the-art MRI scanner, as you said. It's now in place. It's been up and running for about 4 or 5 weeks, and we're already seeing young people going through it and having their scans done. And we look forward to the exciting results that it'll deliver over the next 12, 18 months.
So now, boosted by 2 years' worth of funding, just sum up, if you can, the potential now of Alder Hey Hospital and the difference it can make in the next few years.
So without infrastructure, it's really hard to deliver top quality research. The equipment we've got doesn't mean we're only going to do one study in one area. It actually has a load of possible uses. You can imagine, do you want to look at a brain? Do you want to look at someone's muscles? Do you want to take work out to people who can't find it hard to get to Alder Hey in the community on our bus? How do you look at eyes in different ways? So the range of studies is huge, and what we hope to see is that, and we've already started to see, is partners who do research in our region and beyond coming to us saying, actually, you've got this stuff, can we do this study, can we do that study, what about this opportunity? And so we expect to see more studies, more opportunities, and hopefully answers to more difficult questions.
OK, Dan Hawcutt, thanks for joining us and the very best of luck with that very important research.
Thank you very much.
Great news for them, Alder Hay. Now, I've got a question for you.
OK.
One of the most iconic characters in Coronation Street who's made more returns than any other actor. Who might that be?
Well, I didn't know the answer to this, but you've just told me, and it doesn't surprise me. It is Charlie Lawson, who has reprised the role of Jim McDonald a record 8 times, so he has.
So he has, indeed. Well, I caught up with him to hear all about his new autobiography a little earlier, so I did. Well, Charlie, we thought we'd make you feel at home, so we've got you a brick from the original Corrie cobbles here.
Darling, it's a cobble.
It's a cobble.
Yeah, do you know what? We often think, some of us, what happened to that set back there in
it's all in Granada reports, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you know all those cobbles and the original street? I wonder what's become of it. I remember Amanda Barry getting one many years ago, and it went for some ridiculous price at auction for charity, yeah.
So we'll have to keep an eye on that and make sure he doesn't walk out with that one, guys. You've been in and out of Coronation Street over the years so often. You must be one of the most popular recurring characters who comes back.
I am told by someone on YouTube that I'm the most returned character in Soapland, playing the same, and consequently I've been back about 6 or 7 times.
You must have a lot of very fond memories about your time on Coronation Street, and you talk about a lot of those in the book as well, don't you?
When Bev and I sort of entered the green room, the hallowed turf of Coronation Street, there was a hierarchy and a sort of it was quite bizarre. I mean, I sat down and Brian Mosley, God rest his soul, came up to me to say, "You can't sit there, that's Julie Goodyear's chair." And I said, "Where does it say that?" There was more new wigs, more fur coats, more evening dresses than you could shake a stick at. I mean, it was just incredible. And then, of course, once you got to know them all, they were a delight. It was a great time, the 90s. Absolutely brilliant. Because, as you know, Manchester, I mean, it was nothing for us to be having a drink with Lisa Stansfield or Take That or Brian Robson or whoever was around. And we worked hard and played very hard. But we were never late. We were never, you know, if we finished up at 6 in the morning, we went straight to Granada and they let us in, the security boys, and we had a kip in the dressing room before we started.
What made you want to write this autobiography now?
Well, I'm proud of the achievement and everything in there. I remember talking to Melvin Bragg once, and I name drop here. He said, always remember, if you do an autobiography or a memoir, they're your memories. Don't try and change anything. And so it's all in there, good, bad and ugly. And I'm very proud of it. So, you know, I hope people enjoy it.
Well, I've got a question for you, a story that Crony told us, actually. Is it true that as part of a plot, you had to slap Bev Callard as Liz, your wife, in Coronation Street, and then did you then get chased around a supermarket by a woman who thought it was all real?
Yeah, it's the famous scene. Jim slapped Liz, and of course Beverly, being the wonderful girl she is, said, "You go for it, Charlie. Let's do it for real." We both got a lot of press and a lot of grief. I got, and I was in Sainsbury's in Wilmslow one afternoon, making my way up the meat counter, and I got attacked by a woman and her umbrella. And I was trying to say, "Darling, settle down now, it's only a story,"
it's
do you know
not
what I mean?
real.
But the staff had to intervene. Anyway, I took her aside and had a cup of tea with her. And
Did you?
Yeah, and just said, "Listen, you know, I
It's
get
not
that
real.
it's riled you, you know."
Yeah. What is next for you now, Charlie? Well, how do you think if you put Jim back on the cobbles now?
Well, I'm very aware that we're at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the evening or whatever, Vicky, so I can't be that candid. But if they asked me to come back, I'd bite their arm off. But, you know, I'm just not sure where you'd put him.
Oh, Charlie, it's been so lovely to have you in. Thank you so much, and good luck with the book.
Thank you very much, and it's out on Thursday. That's life, so it is, and fill your boots and enjoy it. It's a good story, and there's good, bad and ugly in there. Mostly good.
Those were the good stories he could tell us at 6 o'clock.
Well, next to a new scheme launched by the Football Association designed to get more disabled youngsters playing football.
Yeah, as part of a 4-year commitment to make the beautiful game more inclusive. The Comet's Pan Disability Programme aims to help children kick off their footballing journey whilst building friendships.
Chris Conway has been to one Comet session in Astley in Greater Manchester.
It's the beautiful game made accessible for all. These Pan Disability sessions are designed to help youngsters kick off their footballing journey, and the kids love them.
I can basically be myself, and with Tourette's you basically want to be active, so football helps me to be active.
Playing with my friends and learning new tricks.
I see a lot of my friends that I don't see a lot.
And the crocodiles have got to get the explorers.
This is a Comet session, a safe space for disabled children to play football, and a key aspect of the FA's new 4-year Football Without Limits strategy. The goal is to increase the number of players by more than a third across all disability football formats, with the aim of having over 28,000 registered disabled players by 2028.
You know, having a disability, you don't need to be someone who has to be fixed. You need to be accepted for who you are.
Someone who understands the power of football is Jaden from Salford. He plays for England's cerebral palsy team.
These kids, they'll be going to school, some of them will be having challenges, and then when it comes to these sessions, you know, they're socialising with each other, they've got smiles on their faces, and it really brings a different side out to them in a positive way.
Wendy works across football development at the Football Association.
Our new strategy, our new disability football strategy, really brings to life our intention of ensuring that football is for all and that we really have opportunities for disabled people, and Comets is a real example of that.
The FA are urging more grassroots clubs to sign up to their Comets programme. They say that will help speed up football, truly becoming the game for all. Chris Conway, ITV News.
A brilliant scheme. Let's hope they hit that target.
Yeah, some great talent on display there. And talking of talent, next we're going to see an artist who got everyone talking when she displayed her work on 3 giant billboards on a busy road in Stockport. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah. Helen Clapcott has now been given her very own exhibition in the town, featuring the architectural history of Stockport over the decades.
Paul Crone's been to catch up with her and her paintings.
From displaying her artwork on 3 billboards on a busy road in Stockport back in 2022, painter Helen Clapcott has moved to a more plush venue to display her vivid images of the town. Helen has been given her own exhibition at the Stockport War Memorial Art Gallery, a chance for people to see the town's long-standing industrial heritage through the decades.
It's just so visual. It's a valley, it's got the viaduct, it had the mills, it's now got its concrete towers and its glass towers. I just love it, the look of it.
Helen caught the public's eye with her roadside gallery, and now she's got plenty of room in the centre of Stockport to show off dozens and dozens of her paintings.
The paintings are in egg tempera, so instead of mixing pigment with oil to make oil paint, you mix pigment with egg yolk to make egg tempera.
Helen's been capturing Stockport on canvas since 1974, and that's why there are 100 of her paintings here in the exhibition. Some of them take quite a while. Some of her paintings take 2 years. That's right, 2 years to complete.
Painting has to be right, and if there's a wrong bit, I can't live with it. I like to be able to live with them. I've always thought Stockport Gallery was just the most tremendous space. And to have a show here, a retrospective show, it's over 50 years, is fabulous.
Yes, we now all wish we'd tried much harder in art at school. Paul Crone, ITV News, Stockport.
Brilliant. And from one beautiful painting to another, here's Joe.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The
faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. High pressure just about controlling our weather until the end of the working week, so it should remain generally dry. Rather cloudy, few glimmers of brightness here and there. Through the weekend, becoming more unsettled weather-wise in general, with rain moving through on Saturday and a much colder feel from Sunday into next week. You can see the progress of the jet stream through the rest of this week. It takes a dip, introducing that colder air from Sunday. Any showers have the potential to turn a little bit wintry on higher ground through Sunday and into Monday. Back to the details though for this evening. No real danger of any frost tonight. It dipped pretty low last night, but tonight we've got lots of cloud cover, and as you can see quite widely, fog patches reforming both at higher and lower levels over the next few hours. 1 or 2 breaks in the cloud perhaps for Cumbria, allowing temperatures to dip there to 4 or 5 degrees. But for most of us tonight, 8 or 9 Celsius, and a dry night to come. As we approach dawn, lots of low cloud and mistiness. The sun's up tomorrow at 7:37. It sets at 13 minutes past 4 tomorrow afternoon. A bit of a gloomy start to proceedings tomorrow, it has to be said, but hill fog will lift quite promptly through tomorrow morning. It'll be a dry day with 1 or 2 bright spells through the course of the afternoon, but for most of us, cloudy skies, staying very quiet, a gentle breeze, and temperatures are around average for the time of year, 11 or 12 Celsius, with fog reforming again, particularly up on higher ground tomorrow night. Friday, a cloudy but dry day. Saturday, that rain moves through, and from Sunday, a noticeably colder feel to our weather. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thanks, Joe. That's it for Granada Reports this evening.
Yeah, tomorrow we're catching up with former world champion boxer Tony Bellew, who's backing a campaign to stop unhealthy drinking in older men.
I will do whatever Tony Bellew tells me to do. Have you seen the size of him? I'd stop drinking water if he told me.
There's no way you could give up the wine. Good night.